So here I am, I've just gotten to the Shaw Festival and about to make my way to have my meeting with Tim to go through the Peter and the Wolf. And beautiful building, let me just flip it around for you. It's very quiet now because there's no shows going, but this is the big sign. Down the staircase. So this is Tim's office, like everyone else. They make a fine cup of coffee. There you go. I'm here with Tim Carroll, who's our featured soloist for our next performance, narrating.
Hello.
Peter and the Wolf. And I'm so glad that you decided to do this with us, because I've always really been a huge fan of your directorial work in working with actors on voice production, which is really fantastic because in my experience, which is limited, mind you, not a lot of directors get into that. So I find that a lot of actors overuse their voice and they strain it, and you actually work from the perspective of like operatic singing and finding the Greek Hamlet and stuff like that. What pulled you into sort of that knowledge base of vocal production?
Well, I've done a lot of work in opera, and eventually I kind of got interested in exploring whether there was any overlap. And really the simple question I asked all my singing friends is, how do you train to make that sound? And if actors trained in the same way, would they find that useful, or would it be completely non-transferable? And we kind of said, well, let's find out. So I got my opera singing friends in and we did work with my acting company, and lo and behold, it made their voices sound bell-like and resonant and give the audience something of the physical thrill that should be part of a live theatre event.
Right, because it's never about yelling your part out, is it? It's always about speaking in a clear bell-like quality that involves so many harmonics that are present in the natural voice.
Well, what do we have as live artists? We have the presence of real sound waves coming from us, not mediated through amplification. And of course you can use amplification in musicals and in certain other cases, but for me, there's nothing like that thrill of feeling someone's sound waves making your own chest vibrate.
In your experience, did you develop this back in England?
Yes.
With your theatre company? Was this at the Globe, or?
We started at the Factory, which was a sort of fringe theatre company I had, but I was already working at the Globe at that time. And when we did Richard III and Twelfth Night in 2012, we really spent a lot of time on it, because I know that the Globe is a big space and it's outdoors, so it really takes some vocal strength. And I was thrilled at how many people watched those shows and said, what are they doing differently? I can't put my finger on it, but it just sounds so rich. And indeed one person said, it's like I'm sitting inside a bell. And I thought, that's a win.
You nailed it. Now the interesting thing about Tim that a lot of you don't know, and I know this, is that he's a huge music nut. And I mean, he practices the guitar like pretty much every day. And I remember walking into Shaw last season when we were working on our show together, and I would hear it at his office before the rehearsal started, this guitar playing, because I knew he just wanted a moment to sort of find his own sort of zone. And he commissioned one of the local luthiers to make him a beautiful electric guitar. I first met you in 2010 on Peter Pan, and I was blown away by your musical knowledge, and it was almost intimidating, because oftentimes you will meet people who are your boss, which he is. You know, they'll be talking this kind of like big talking, you know, with a lot of bravura, but then you start talking about, you know, specific players, and oh yes, I really like that recording because of this particular guitar player, and wow, this guy really knows his musical chops. So why didn't you become a musician?
I don't know if I am that good a musician, even naturally. I mean, it's very easy when you're an amateur to say, well, if I had trained, I could have been a contender. But I think I have a decent ear, and I think I have a certain affinity for music, but I don't think it's anything extraordinary. It's not like yours. I don't have, quite apart from your training and the work you put in, I don't have your sense of music in your bones. But I do admire it, and it's a fun thing to bluff about, you know, and to try to learn a bit about so that you aren't bluffing quite so much.
But you really take it, I mean, seriously, because you actually practice and you actually you determine that I'm going to get better at sight reading. I remember you mentioning this a couple of years ago, and you're actually still working on that. And
well, yeah, but not very much. I mean, let's not. I don't want your listeners to think that I'm some sort of virtuoso, or even that I'm terribly disciplined. You know, it goes in waves. I can easily go a month where all I do on the guitar is noodle, and then I give myself a telling off and go, and what happened to the sight reading? You know, so I'm very lazy, and that's really why I wasn't a musician in the first place. You know, like so many kids, I was sent for piano lessons, and like so many kids, I just behaved so badly and complained so incessantly that my mum gave up and let me quit, which she said I would regret, and I do.
Now this Peter and the Wolf, of course, I think it was composed in like 1936, and he did the first piano sketch, Prokofiev, in about a week and a half or 2 weeks, and just mind-blowing to me. But he has this complexity and crystal clear quality in all of his music. I find there's so much detail happening, but it just shimmers in so well. When you think about like narrating this, what are you thinking along the musical lines in terms of the rhythms and in terms of the writing of Prokofiev? Do you have a vision for it?
No, I don't. I think it's important just to try to hear what you're doing with the orchestra and respond to it in the moment. And you know, I know from all the operas I've done that conductors hate it when you don't look at them. So I shall have my eyes glued to you, and I shall speak when you cue me, and I'll try and hope that my instinct will guide me to speak in a way that's somehow in a real dialogue with the music and not just automatic.
Is watching Tim work with a group of actors is really refreshing to me, because I get to view sort of how fresh he makes it all the time for the actors, so that they're never on stage, you know, that this is your mark, this is your mark, this is your line, deliver at this pace, that it always feels like you're reacting to stuff. So I imagine that hopefully we're going to have that kind of same chemistry on stage, where you will be reacting to what we're doing, and I'll be reacting to what you're doing, which is what I'm really looking forward to, which is why I thought that you would be perfect for this.
Well, then I have to walk the walk, don't I?
Yes.
I have to try and do what I tell my actors to do.
And of course, Tim is the director of the Shaw Festival. Is that correct?
Artistic director.
Artistic director of Shaw Festival. And got a beautiful season coming up. I don't know if you want to talk about it at all?
Well, yes, we've got Grand Hotel, which is a marvellous musical, and Oh What a Lovely War, which is another one. So those are our two musical offerings, but we also have Stephen Fry coming to do his extraordinary one-man show, Mythos.
Which is amazing.
And a Sherlock Holmes show, so, you know, there's something for everyone in the season. Roll up, although I have to warn you, the tickets are going very fast, so don't hang around.
And of course, the show that we're working on together.
The Magician's Nephew,
right,
which is going to be a lovely show for families.
Which is the first time it's actually been staged as a theatre production, correct?
Yep.
So this is going to be brand new. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Claudio.
I enjoyed it. Looking forward to
Wonderful tune.
That's it.